right. Hey, what's up?
All your favorite artists.
Check it out. DJ Khaled.
This is Mila J.
Bruno Mars.
On Hot 7025fm.com.
E-Class Consulting. It's owned and operated by Kristie, providing tools, training, and resources that are sure to make you and your business even more successful. We are staffed with a marketing, credit, tax, and a real estate consultant. E-Class Consulting also provides a temporary admin service called E-Class Admins. Want to book an appointment with E-Class Consulting? Call 702-518-3002 or email book@eclassconsulting.com. E-Class Consulting, navigating you to greatness. Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
I'm Talk Shit and Politics with Kristie J from the Chisholm Report every Saturday at 10 a.m. on hot7025fm.com.
This is Kristen Gamer, and you are tuned into my mom, Kristie J.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
This is Kid West. You're live with the Chisholm Report with Kristie J. Hot 702.5.
This is Hot 702.5.
It's Kristie J from the Chisholm Report. You're tuned in to Hot 702.5.
Yeah, election time's coming. Who you gonna vote for? Yeah, if I was president, I'd get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. They go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president, yeah. Instead of spending billions on the war, I can use that money so I can feed the poor. Cause I know some so poor. When it rains, that's when they shower, scream and fight the power. That's when the vulture devours. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. They go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president, yeah. I know some soldiers that sleep but they can't dream, wake up with screams, sounds of M16. So take this medal of honor for your bravery. I wish you the best, kid, you and your family. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. They go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president. But the radio won't play this. They call it rebel music. How can you refuse it? Children of Moses, tell the children the truth, the truth. It's not all that bling that's diamond. Tell them the truth, the truth. Most of y'all wear cubic zirconia. Tell them the truth, yeah. Your soul is worth more than diamonds.
If I was president, all blacks, I have reparation, no segregation. Feed the nation so there's no famine. Muslims, Jews, Christians, with all whole hands. Every week on the beach, party by the sand. Word up, take trips on Air Force One. Don't need to bring the homeless with no sneaks to Air Force One. Better schools in the hood, better teachers for the classes. Making money, paying no tax. Find the best scientists, tell them come up with an answer. I want the cure for AIDS and cancer, but I gotta watch my back. Snipers on the hill with the steel, waiting to JF
I was
kill.
president. I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. They go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president. I feel the rain coming. Let me play my guitar for them right now.
Let's go.
Refugees.
Good morning. Thank you guys for coming in and spending Saturday at 10 a.m. with me. This is the Chisholm Report, and I am Kristie J. Thank you for coming in so we can talk this shit in politics. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I do like to be interactive, so go ahead and give us a phone call at 702-551-5261, or be able to make sure that you are sharing, commenting. If you do not like what I say something back. Okay, and then give me any type of credibility that you have, or any facts that you have, and I will research it, and you will research it too. But if you're only getting your information off of Facebook or something like that, sit and learn, and let's be able to talk about stuff without emotion. Okay. We want to talk about facts. We don't want to talk about something that we heard somebody else say, that they heard somebody else say, that they heard somebody else say. Okay. Because what I do is I actually sit and watch the sessions dealing with government. Okay. I know every word that they say. It's not a hearsay. I hear it out of their mouth. So I want you to know that when I'm coming to you to be able to give you information, this is the best information possible, because I'm not going to give you bullshit. Okay. So once again, I thank you guys for coming in with me today. I got a couple of things I want to talk about, so I'm going to give you the layout of how I want this, how we're going to go about this show. I'm going to give you a resource about something that's happening out here for Black History Month. And then we're going to talk about the Board of Education. We're going to talk about some bailouts. We're going to talk about some firing of federal employees. We're going to talk about Congresswoman Johanna Haynes. We are going to talk about federal funding versus state funding. We're going to talk about energy crisis, Canada threatening to cut the power grid for us. I'm going to talk about how we, as the United States in the last couple of months, have developed even more enemies than we had before. And we're going to talk about Elon's son being able to speak freely in the Oval Office. So if any of those subjects interest you, please most definitely be interactive and say something. Just so, here's the resource for you guys. Black Girl Magic, presented at through Vegas City Opera. This is Saturday, February the 22nd, from 3 to 4 at the West Charleston Library. This is 6301 West Charleston Boulevard, and that is Las Vegas, Nevada 89146. Okay. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. Before we do that, right off back, let me tell you, if you guys saw SpaceX shooting off something the other day, it scared most people, scared me too. Okay. But I haven't heard much information about it other than that's just what they were doing some type of test. I don't think it was just a test though. What do you think? Okay. And I have a clip that's going to explain us talking about the Board of Education. I want you to know what the Board of Education kind of covers, who was just appointed less than 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago as the head of the Board of Education, and their background. Okay. And then we'll go into the clip and we'll discuss after. All right.
Capitol Hill President Donald Trump says if his nominee for Education Secretary is confirmed, he will sign an executive order to have her begin work to dismantle the department. As ABC's Alex Prechet reports, senators are asking Linda McMahon how she will run an agency and end it at the same time.
Linda McMahon, President Trump's nominee to be Education Secretary, today interviewing for a job to lead a department the president wants to eliminate.
If there's no Department of Education, who will enforce the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act?
Is it the responsibility of the federal government to say that every kid in America, whether you're poor, middle class, rich, gets a quality education? It is.
McMahon acknowledges the president just can't close the education department without an act of Congress.
It is set up by the United States Congress, and we work with Congress. It clearly cannot be shut down without it.
The department plays a role in regulating services for 50 million students across the country, ranging from those with disabilities to low income to homeless children. It also distributes billions in federal money to colleges and schools and manages the federal student loan portfolio. The president says education is best handled by individual states. Trump has called the education department a con job.
We spend more per pupil than any other country in the world, but we're ranked number 40.
McMahon was also questioned about Trump's executive order that prohibits diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in schools.
You're saying that it's a possibility that if a school has a club for Vietnamese American students or black students where they meet after school, that they could be potentially in jeopardy of receiving federal funding?
Again, I would like to fully understand what that order is and what those clubs are doing.
That's pretty chilling.
McMahon co-founded World Wrestling Entertainment with her husband, Vince McMahon. A lawsuit alleges that the McMahons turned a blind eye to sexual abuse of underage ring boys by an announcer and executives at the company. The McMahons have denied all of the claims, and the case is on hold. Alex Prechet, ABC News, Washington.
The Senate has also cleared a few more.
Okay, so just the fact that this is Vince McMahon's wife, it scares me because what you doing when he running around with ring boys, okay, and you now go be over everybody's children? I have a problem with that, okay? Second thing is, how you go appoint somebody that you want to be able to dismantle the whole entire department? All right. I want to bring some information to you guys. I want you to just listen to me. Okay. So also, RFK, Robert Kennedy, who was running for president in the independent spot and then gave his spot up so he can kiss Trump's butt, he is now going to be over the health care. Okay. For the entire United States. All right. Which is very chilling because he is an ex-heroin addict. All right. So I don't know what to say about that, but what I need to say is this, okay? With all the problems that people are having, do you know that children that were born with disabilities have gone up in the last 4 years? Every year it's gone up, okay? And then if you think about how many kids are actually in school, you have 7.5 million children who have special needs, IEP or IDA, okay? Meaning that these are individuals with disabilities, and these are them being able to, go to school and still be able to learn and things like this, okay? It's scary for me to think about them trying to dismantle this because they're saying, what we're doing is we're just trying to send it back to the state. Okay, well, a couple of things. One thing, here in Nevada, we don't have state tax. So there is no funding for school here. Okay. And when you take things down from federal funding, there's a level there's a level that the kids need to be at. Okay. That's a level that they want the teachers to teach at. And when you take that away, then each state is able to figure that out. Well, Nevada is probably number 49 in the country for education. They don't value it at all. Every year they're lowering the the funding for education here. Okay, our kids here are reading, fourth grade are reading at a first grade level. Eighth grade is reading at a fifth grade level. Okay, so them saying that at their level. And then you take it to, like, let's say Texas or something like that, and you see the level that their kids are at, it is totally different. It's a totally different thing, okay? But we don't have funding for that. And it bothers me because you have other people that say, I'm not going to say it doesn't make sense. Hear me out, though. People are like, you don't want your kids to go to school anyway. You don't like what they're telling your kids anyway. So you might as well do that. Well, the people that's going to have to stay home and homeschool their kids are these mothers, which most of us are single mothers. How I'm going to stay home and still be able to go to work, especially if he's dismantling working from home remotely. You know what I'm saying? Let's think about that. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, you never want to have to, something gets cut and they be like, okay, yeah, it's over. We just threw that out the window. You don't want to start from scratch. Let's start with experience, okay? And that would be if it is not right, if the education level and everything else that's going on in that department is not right, it's better for us to be able to go and red line what is not working and then be able to fix it that way. But when you throw it out the door, you have to start all the way over. You're not able to say, well, you know what, this worked out for us, let's do this. At this point, you have to start all the way over. That's more funding to be able to fix that. And a lot of people do not have the time, the effort, or the patience to be able to homeschool their children. Let's just think about that. Okay. I want to be able to also go back to the talking about the special education of the kids. Okay. And I want to point out that there is very similar numbers for kids in the United States that are born with autism. It is 1 out of 44 kids born in the United States that have autism. Okay. This hits white people, black people, Hispanic people, Asian, and Pacific Islanders. Pacific Islanders is at a 3.3%. Hispanic is at 3.2%. Black is at 2.9%. And white people are at 2.4%. This is a difference. Okay. That means that this is hitting every community. Okay, so we can't kind of say, well, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't. I know a lot of people that have a kid that either have a IEP or a learning disability, and they need that special teacher that's going to actually have the patience to be able to work with their kids so their kid can strive. Okay, I also want to say this: your average judge in the United States is 60 years old. Your average senior senator is 59 years old. I'm not saying that they don't have kids, but a lot of these people don't have kids that are in elementary school and having to learn how to be able to sit and do fifth grade homework. It is hard. Okay. It is hard when you go and you work a 9 to 5 and then come home and you got to do fifth grade homework, get the house together, get dinner together, get people in the bathtub, you know what I'm saying? Get people in the bed, and you still have a moment to yourself. It is difficult. Okay. So it is needed. And we can figure out when we get together and actually get together as a people, we can talk about how we can fix it. But if we cut it all the way off, we have to start all the way over. And I don't believe that they're going to make it separate but equal, but they're going to make it separate. Okay. So that's me in a nutshell talking about the Board of Education. I do not trust the lady that they just appointed to Board of Education because, once again, I said her man is sleeping with ring boys. So I don't know if you're going to turn a blank eye to that and you still going to be married to the man and he's being accused of that in sexual conduct with women in the last 30 years and you have not left this man. I don't know. You tell me how you think. Okay. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you think. Okay. Also, so just let you know, the federal workers that we were talking about, Trump trying to fire them or tell them that they had to be able to take a leave of absence. That deadline was today. That window has now closed. So if they did not take that deal, it will not be offered to them. Okay. I do have a clip discussing Trump's administration window cutoff. Let's go ahead and go into the clip and we discuss after.
And in national news, federal employees are no longer able to accept the Trump administration's buyout offer. A federal judge is allowing the offer to proceed. After the ruling, the Trump administration quickly sending an email, making last night the deadline to accept. ABC's Perry Russum has a story.
This morning, the window for the more than 2 million federal employees to accept a buyout offer is now closed, as Elon Musk and his Doge team cut the government's workforce under the direction of President Trump. Speaking remotely to the World Government Summit in Dubai overnight, Musk says he wants to delete entire agencies.
It's kind of like leaving a weed. If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then it's easy for the weed to grow back.
The Trump administration sending an email to federal employees last night with the subject, "The fork in the road is closed," after a judge ruled in favor of the buyout offer. One staffer telling ABC News they received the email minutes before 7 p.m., with a deadline to respond only 20 minutes later. More than 73,000 people accepting the offer before the final email last night.
This is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 77 million people elected him to do.
Trump set to hold a news conference later today where he says he'll outline what he calls the federal government's widespread fraud and abuse uncovered by Doge across multiple agencies.
I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to.
Meanwhile, a major shift in U.S. support for Ukraine. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says to end the war, Ukraine would need to give up territory to Russia.
As President Trump has said, stopping the killing. And so that will require both sides recognizing things they don't want to.
It comes after the prisoner swap involving Mark Fogel, a U.S. teacher who was wrongfully detained in Russia. In exchange, the U.S. releasing Alexander Vinnik, a Russian arrested in 2017 on cryptocurrency fraud charges. Trump says he spoke with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday.
I think we're on the way to getting peace. I think President Putin wants peace, and President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace.
Trump has agreed to meet with Putin in person in the near future. Secretary Hegseth says NATO membership for Ukraine is unrealistic. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about the reason why I don't understand the reason why he wants to fire all these federal employees, okay? Hundreds of thousands of federal employees are at stake of losing their job. Guess how much he's going to save, okay, from firing all these people, all right? Inconveniencing all these additional people, 0.16%. A couple 100,000 people. Okay. Now, let me say this before I move on. In the bailouts that Trump set out, not just Trump, the government set out, guess how many people benefited? Guess how many industries or businesses benefited from that? 991. And they have the majority of the debt of the country. $4.2 trillion. Okay. And him firing all these people, them having to go home and not be able to feed their families, have to take unemployment, which, you know, unemployment is nowhere near what your actual check is. For them to have to find another job, which there is already scarce jobs in the country right now. 0.16%, not even 1%, not 2%, none of that. Okay, this is not even a spit in the bucket of what the debt is. So it doesn't make any sense of him doing this. It doesn't make sense. And so many of the people who voted for him are losing their job because he would rather cut you off than cut one of the 991 businesses who received funding from him. Okay. So that pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? It really made me upset because when you think about it, having a government job, a lot of people were like, you know, I've been working for the government for the last 17 years. They going to be able to retire from it. That's a lot of people's goals, to be able to get to certain positions in there. And for you to be able to mark it off just because you don't want to inconvenience a business who already asking you for money, it bothers me. Okay. It really bothers me. Now, perfectly able. Now, this is a perfect move for us to be able to go ahead and talk about the buyouts. Okay. The bailouts of the country and what they really mean. So just to let you know, the banks, the mortgage companies, the auto companies, the airlines, the gas companies, the natural gas, coal companies, stuff like that or whatever. These are the people who actually are getting bailouts. Now, what it tells me when the bank is asking for a bailout, it means they don't have your money. Okay, I'll be like, like this is like Big Worm. Big Worm was like, count my money out. I don't think they can. Why do you need a bailout when every job is making you do a direct deposit? Why is the money going into the bank, but you don't have it? But you asking for more money. Same thing with the auto industry. When y'all remember all the recalls of the cars? Because they was crashing and blowing up and the seatbelts not working and the wheels falling off and all the rest of that stuff. And then all of a sudden they need a bailout because they were given trash product. Now they got the airlines falling out the sky like crazy and they need a bailout. Okay, like look at the situations that's going on right now. You got the farm industry need a bailout and they throwing chickens in landfills. Okay. That's scary. I don't really want no chicken either. All right. So let's go ahead and go into the clip and then we'll discuss after.
Hi, Lauren. The risks are relatively low, even for those who bank with smaller community and regional banks. Your deposits insured up to $250,000. But people in the community, they still have questions because of the uncertainty surrounding the economy. They want to know, what is the state of banking right now?
It's concerning.
Mercedes Barzi is like many people across the country who watched as two banks collapsed over the weekend. She didn't have money in either bank, but now she has questions. The biggest, is my money safe? We met Mercedes in downtown Raleigh as she showed her niece around town.
I don't know if the money of the people's money is going to be secure or not.
Duke University economics professor Connell Fullenkamp says it's common that people like Mercedes would have questions, but he says, don't panic. Your money is safe. What happened with Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank won't impact most people.
For normal people, you really should not be very concerned about this. Silicon Valley Bank was, yes, a very big bank, but it served only startup companies. The banks that we see here in North Carolina, they're very sound. They serve a mix of customers.
Experts say where you may feel the impact is when it comes to interest rates.
They may think twice now when they come to their next meeting, which is very soon, by the way, about whether and how much to raise interest rates.
Fed rate hikes have an impact, and you're seeing it.
Gerald Cohen is the chief economist at Keenan Institute of Private Enterprise at UNC. He says the interest rate hikes are the reason behind what we're seeing unfold with two banking institutions.
This is not uncommon to have when you see a big increase in interest rates. I believe that the consequences of this are going to be fairly limited.
Back on Fayetteville Street, what's keeping Mercedes calm is knowing her money is spread out through several banking institutions.
So I have big banks. And someone told me you had to divide your money a little bit, so that's why I did it. To not have everything in one, just in case something like that happens.
We also heard from the state treasurer's office tonight that 36 banks that state regulate, they are more diversified than those banks that collapsed. So in short, the office is telling us that there is no banking crisis in North Carolina. In Raleigh tonight, I'm Janice Price, ABC 11 Eyewitness News.
All right. Okay. So, like I said, people are nervous about them and their money that's in the bank, things like that. If you want to, let's say that you do not have the money to be able to pay your mortgage, okay? And you end up foreclosing on your house, they take your house and they get that full amount of what that house's cost is, right? But if you went in there and said, "Nuh-uh, you know what? I want the money for my house. Give me the money for my house." I don't think they could give it to you because they ain't got it. They ain't got no money in the bank, okay? You can't go in there bawling out and saying you want your money out. I know a lot of celebrities talk about the fact that them going into a bank and say they want to pull a certain amount of money out, and they get pushback about their own money that's in their bank. So it's important for you guys to know, what would you do if everything went out, the internet went out, you can't go to the ATM machine, you can't buy online, things like that? Do you have cash on you? Is cash going to mean anything? Is Cash App, Bitcoin, is anything of that going to make any sense to you if you can't actually access the money? Okay. So along with that, and I was just talking about the industries that were impacted and given bailouts and stuff like that. My next clip is about Congresswoman Johanna Haynes. And it's not Haynes. What is it? Hayes. Right. And she was doing like a town hearing or something like that, and a MAGA supporter got up and he wanted to talk to her about how paying for student loans and stuff like that was horrible, and that she wasn't doing her job and everything else. I want you to hear her response to him. Okay. You can always go research it yourself and hear the whole entire conversation. But what I want you to hear is what she says to him. Let's go ahead and go into the clip and we'll discuss after.
We are here today partly because you didn't make choices in the prior administration where people who didn't go to college were being asked to pay off the loans of those that did go to college. What was your voice? You talked about Constitution, you talked about illegality and things of that sort. And to my understanding, the forgiveness of student loans was not legal. So were you making choices about that? And again, I'm talking to you as a taxpayer.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm up to here on taxes for the federal government. I'm up to here on the federal government taxes and on the state taxes. And I'm simply asking you as a congressperson, what are you doing to reduce the cost of government? Thank you again.
I wasn't a homeowner when the federal government failed out the mortgage industry. I didn't own any stocks when the federal government failed out the banking industry. I didn't own a car when the federal government bailed out the auto industry. And the fact that our hard line is a 19-year-old who wants to go to college and turn around poverty in their family and change the trajectory for their children, we have a problem there. The federal government took on the responsibility of managing and overseeing the student loan program to make a profit. That's right. That's what they did. So you had people who, long before Obama, but even if it was, okay, I'll give that to you, even if it was Obama, we have a responsibility. It's a relay. We go from one administration to the other. This idea that, this was Obama's fault, because what was spent in the student loan forgiveness program doesn't even come close to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, where 93% of the benefits went to the top 1% of the population.
All right. So I wanted you to hear that. Okay. I wanted you to hear her say that when they bailed out the auto company, she didn't own a car. When they bailed out the bank, she didn't own stocks. Okay. But they still bailed them out. And then you have a problem with the fact of us saying we want our kids to be able to have a better education. You want our kids to be able to, it doesn't even matter if they don't have the money to go to school. They can be able to change their position and be able to make something of themselves to be able to get to this American dream that you said was accessible to everybody. And that's not fair. That's not fair that you throw that out the window. Remember I said that the Congress and the judges are 60 and 58 years old? You're not even thinking about the fact that I need my child to have a good foundation so I can get him to the point of him being a independent man at one point. Okay? And I don't agree with everything with the education board. I don't agree with half of the stuff they do. I don't agree about them taking the books out and stuff like that. I wish I had the manpower, the patience to be able to teach my kid what I want to teach him. But I don't, because I still got to go to work because y'all raising prices on everything else I need in life. So I need him to have a foundation so I can add to it and also take away some of the stuff that I don't want y'all to have. Okay. So I want you to know that from the people, remember I said it was 991 people who benefited from the bailouts. You have 42.7 million people who got who borrowed loans for school. I would rather take that debt on because that covers more of the people in the country. Get how much the debt is. Okay? Remember I told you it's $4.7 trillion. Okay? You have $1.7 trillion goes to education fund and the debt for school. Yes, it's high, but it also covers so many more people in this country as for your tax dollars paying for what you want and what you need, not just benefiting businesses who are still asking you for money. They not lowering no prices on no flights. They ain't lowering no prices on no cars. They have not lowered pricing on housing. They ain't lowered prices on education. They have not lowered prices in medical. But all of these companies received bailout. They got money. They got money. Elon Musk has a debt right now with the energy company of him not being able to pay, and they're going to write that off. But if you are short $65 for your lights getting cut off. You getting a late fee. But he got thousands and millions of dollars that are being held up, and he's just able to write that off. Yeah, just write that off for me. And give me those little people's money. They don't need it, right? So fossil fuel got $280 billion. Our airline industry got $25 billion. The auto industry, banking, and assets got $462 billion. No, $462 billion. And I can't get an extra $100 off my light bill. I got to pay for all my food, right? I got to pay for child care out my own pocket. But you can give these type of benefits to the people that's so-called rich. Obviously, they're not rich. They got my money plus your money. And this is my question, okay? I went looking. Who the hell is Frannie Mae? And who is Freddie Mac? Because I'll tell you this, I would never give a dude named Freddie Mac my money. Never. But they said this is your government. This is your government. And Bank of America is on the list twice. How you get two businesses under the same damn name? It's confusing to me. But some of the banks that are on that list, some of the companies that are on that list, and it is, like I said, it's 991. AIG, General Motors, Citigroup, Bank of America, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Okay. These are recipients of this money, and we didn't get anything. The biggest bailout was for COVID-19. Okay. And that was for $4.65 trillion. The other biggest bailout was for Wall Street, which was $700 billion. Trillions and billions. I can't be late $75 on my cable bill, or I gotta make a payment plan. This is ridiculous, especially when it's your money that's paying that. Every time you walk into a store, I can reach in my purse right now and pull out receipts. Let me see if I can pull out any receipt I got in my purse. Any receipt. Receipt. On this receipt, okay, I end up paying $52.53. How much was the taxes on this? $11.69. $11. And that's not for no product. I done paid over $10 for something that I ain't even gonna be able to benefit from, because the rich people get to get my $11.69. And that's only because we are not represented in the argument, because people think we don't have power. When we could get together and vote and say, you know what? I don't believe that if you're a representative for the government, you should be doing this out of your goodwill. You should be doing this because you love the country. You shouldn't be doing this to be able to get no mass ass check. Okay? You shouldn't be able to do that. Your budget of $40,000 is more than somebody's house, more than a house income coming into their house. Why are you getting that money when that money's supposed to come back into the city? Why is the school board being able to ask for more money on the board, not the teachers? And y'all not doing nothing but cutting all their funding and making them have to figure out it in the classroom. You ain't teaching nobody, but your teachers are getting they're not getting their share. What sense does that make? And that's because we don't see the power in voting locally. When you don't vote locally, you allow that representation to tell you what to do with your money. And I am so tired of that. I wouldn't let a soul tell me what to do with my money. And I wish everybody else felt the same way. Ain't nobody coming in my house and telling me that I need to do what they say because of the money I bring into the house. How you gonna make decisions for my money? It's bonkers to me, okay? And like I talked about federal funding versus state funding. When you live in a state like Nevada and you don't have state funding, all of the programs that are federal programs like welfare, the funding for veterans, medical, all these additional things are federal. So that means it goes away. We're not going to get it, or it's going to be bare freaking minimum. And we should be the ones that benefit from our dollars, not them. So I wanted to be able to speak on that. That also goes to the fact of us keep getting all these enemies, and Trump just keep thinking that he can talk to people any kind of way, and then they just go do whatever they want. So Canada said, okay, if you decide that you go do some tariffs on us, we gonna cut your energy because we won't own it. Okay, you say you don't need our beef, you say you don't need our maple syrup, no problem, but we have your power grid. We can make your energy go out, and if you don't have energy, you don't have Wi-Fi. Say that to a kid. I don't have Wi-Fi. See what they do to you. Okay, see if they can't play Roblox and what's the other one? Fortnite. Okay. They're not going to be able to do that. That you can't listen to your YouTube, okay? You can't watch Netflix, all right? You can't do any of that. Any of that. You can't watch your sports. You can't do any of it if you don't have any energy, all right? I also want to say that when he's doing that and he's making all these additional enemies like Canada and Mexico and everything else, you forget that there's BRICS out there, and BRICS is them. This is a couple of different countries that decided that they're gonna put their own money together, which is way bigger than the dollar at this point, and be able to not use us. So that is Brazil, Russia, India, okay, China, and South Africa. I know you heard some of them names and some of the stuff we got going on. I get it, but I'm going to go into them. And then on top of that, you got the rest of these countries that's saying that they ain't going to be dealing with us either. We are building a roster of enemies, and I don't know what they're going to do to us. After a while, you can't beat up everybody, okay? So along with that, he can sit there and bully everybody else. And who's bullying him in the White House, in the Oval Office? Elon Musk's 4-year-old son told him to he wants him to shut his mouth. He said, you're not the real president. You need to go away. Let's go ahead and go. I have a clip talking about that. Let's go into the clip and discuss quickly after.
Well, hell of a thing. Elon Musk's son, and really Elon Musk, both humiliate Donald Trump in the Oval Office, it gives you an idea of who's really in charge. Lil X. All right, here it is.
And there was a hot mic that caught some of it. So first is this little gem.
To restore democracy. This may seem like, well,
you heard that too, right? You're not the president, you need to go away. I'll play the clip a second time. Just you watch and tell me if that's what he said.
To restore democracy. This may seem like,
that's what he said, but I'll go one better because he also said this.
the prices from one year to the next are the same. And their mortgage over.
That one's clear as day. He says, I want you to shut your up. And there's already people who are like, out of the mouth of babes. But let me just put this out there for your consideration. A child this young doesn't have this profound moment where he like tells off Trump. He just repeats things he's heard.
Okay. I just wanted you to be able to hear that and let you know that Elon Musk is able to stand on top of him. Donald Trump has a dress code in the White House, meaning that you have to, in the Oval Office, you have to wear a tie and a jacket. You cannot stand over him at the residue desk. Okay. And Elon Musk is in there with a t-shirt on and a hat, and you cannot bring kids in there. And who is in there? The 4-year-old telling the president, okay, like somebody said it to him. Somebody said in front of him, he's not the real president. Somebody has said to him and probably said to Trump, I want you to shut your mouth. So he can be punked by this dude, this weirdo, but all of these countries, he called himself being a big guy. Y'all, I really appreciate you guys. Love the fact that you guys come in and interact with me. Come on in, spend some time. And thank you for, spending time here on the Chisholm Report. I am Kristie J. If you see somebody out there shining, if you see somebody out there grinding, let them know you see them shining. I love you guys. And I will see you next week, 10 o'clock, Saturday morning.
Yeah, election time's coming. Who you gonna vote for? Yeah, if I was president, I'd get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president, yeah. Instead of spending billions on the war, I can use that money so I can feed the poor, 'cause I know some so poor. When it rains, that's when they shower, scream and fight the power. That's when the vulture devours. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president, yeah. I know some soldiers that sleep but they can't dream, wake up with screams, sounds of M16. So take this medal of honor for your bravery. I wish you the best, kid, you and your family. If I was president, I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday, they go back to work on Monday. If I was president, if I was president, if I was president. But the radio won't play this, they call it rebel music. How can you refuse it? Children of Moses, tell the children the truth, the truth. It's not all that bling that's diamond. Tell them the truth, the truth. Most of y'all wear cubic zirconia. Tell them the truth, The truth, yeah. Your soul is worth more than diamonds.
If I was president, all blacks, I have reparation, no segregation. Feed the nation so there's no famine. Muslims, Jews, Christians.